All right. Brad, thanks for joining us here on this Zoom media call. We've got a few members of the media from the Bristol area on here to talk about the upcoming World of Outlaws Bristol Throwdown. And I'll kick it off with a question, then we'll just kind of go round robin with some of the media that are on the call with you, and get your thoughts on the Throwdown. What was your, I guess we'll just start with, what was your first thought, or what did you think when you heard that the World of Outlaws was going to come back to Bristol?
Obviously, it's exciting from a standpoint that we, never get to race in, venues quite that large, and you can also, feel like you're going to get a really big crowd because the excitement of seeing it for 20 years. So that's really exciting, that side of it. Our side, the driver's side, obviously it's a bigger and more banked racetrack than we're, used to going to. So there's definitely a side of it that makes us a little nervous. But, I think overall, once we get there and practice, I think, we'll feel pretty good about it, hopefully.
And you're the defending champion, two-time champion. You've got 5 wins this season, so you're off to a really good start with your Casey Kane racing team. Just kind of give us a little background on your season so far.
Yeah, obviously off to a good start with the Napa Auto Parts car. We have a lot of confidence. We've been able to win the last 2 championships and, quite a few races along the way. So we kind of feel like, we're really gelling well together, and obviously, these are long seasons. So you want to get off to a good start, and 5 wins, in the first 12, that's great. It's right where we want to be, leading the points, but we know we need to keep our heads down.
All right, we'll go with our first question is from Kenny Hawkins with WJHL. Go ahead, Kenny.
Okay, even though we're talking about 2 different cars, talk about driving for Casey Kane, and what type of advice could he possibly give you as far as racing at Bristol?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a lot of unknowns, even for Casey, about sprint cars at Bristol. So, we've had discussions. I've actually been fortunate to race a stock car at Bristol. So, I kind of have an idea of the racetrack, and obviously we can go back 20 years and kind of watch videos of how sprint cars look there. But he's just like us. We're not sure how fast we're going to be going. We're not sure what the track conditions are going to be. So there's going to be a lot of adapting, on the fly. And I think Thursday with the practice day, is something that we don't typically get with the World of Outlaws. So I think that'll hopefully make us, feel better and give us a better idea of what we're up against.
Our next question comes from Heather Williams of WCYB. Go ahead, Heather.
You talked about watching old videos. Have you watched any videos of the races that have been run this year? And have you had a chance to talk to any of the guys that have been out there in any of the other cars?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've been watching. Obviously, the late models is probably, similar type of speeds. Will be a little faster. So trying to get an idea how fast they're going, and any of the, parts or things that they're seeing, extra wear on from, the extra speed or things like that. And then I've been able to talk to Kyle Larson a good bit. He ran the late model there, and then obviously the stock car there. So talked to him quite a bit about it. He'll be running the sprint car as well. So I was able to, he kind of made us feel a little bit better. He said once it, kind of the track slicks up, it kind of feels, a lot more like a normal racetrack. So, that's reassuring. And obviously, he's pretty, well-versed in dirt track racing. So it was nice to hear from him.
All right. Our next question will come from Casey Getz. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey, Brad, do you anticipate, since this is going to be at a marquee venue at Bristol Motor Speedway, some drivers maybe doing things they're not used to doing, trying to do too much, or looking around at the atmosphere and maybe losing where they are on the track? Do you think it could be kind of wild, especially early in the race?
I don't think so. I think we have a really good group of drivers that are very professional, and I think once you're on the racetrack, everybody will definitely be taking it very serious. If anything, I think hopefully you'll see a little bit of a heightened safety first type approach, and not get too crazy, just for the excess speeds that that we're going to see. I hope that, a lot of the drivers, kind of, make sure that they're up to speed and comfortable and stuff like that before we get too crazy.
All right, we'll go back to Heather Williams now. She had a follow-up question. Go ahead, Heather.
Yeah, because you mentioned Kyle, and I know you know him pretty well. How happy were you to see him to go back to NASCAR? A, just to see him get back there, but B, because he came down there and kind of tore things up in the World of Outlaws when he was there.
Yeah, it's really fun racing against Kyle. But he's obviously an unbelievable, talented driver. So not only was I happy for him, from a family aspect and, his whole family and my sister and their kids. And, just it was a lot to go through for somebody. And, we were always there for him. But, definitely, I think he's back where he belongs. And, we don't really miss him that much. That's for sure.
Thanks.
All right. We'll go to Kenny Hawkins with WJHL. Go ahead, Kenny.
Brad, you have 5 wins this year, but what would a win at Bristol Motor Speedway mean to you in your career?
Yeah, obviously we don't know how many times we're ever going to race at Bristol. So it's one of those tracks that's, definitely historic and, everybody knows about. It's, just something that's been there, for a long time. And obviously there's not a lot of dirt racing that happens there and just the atmosphere and, what the venue is like, I think would just, be pretty incredible, really. I don't know exactly how to feel, hopefully until Saturday night over there, but it'd be pretty special for sure. There's no doubt that, any of those types of, legendary tracks add a lot of prestige, to a win for sure.
Brad, you mentioned having some laps on the concrete Bristol. In 2013, you finished 22nd in the Xfinity race driving for Junior Motorsports. What do you remember about that whole experience and about that race?
I remember that it was really hard. We didn't have a good handling car. It can get very uncomfortable really quick, just with how fast things can happen at Bristol. So we actually had a practice crash and kind of, put a damper on our whole weekend. But I remember that, I was probably more in awe the first time I went there as a fan and just, saw the place from, up high. Just couldn't believe that the stands went, all the way around, and the amount of people that are there and the atmosphere and the camping and just, everything that place, brings to the table. So, it's definitely spectacular.
We have another question from Heather Williams. Go ahead, Heather.
Styles track, some flat, some banked. Are there any tracks that might compare to what Bristol might be like that might help you get ready for this weekend?
Yeah, good question. I think we have a couple tracks that, obviously that we've looked at that maybe have, small similarities. Obviously Eldora's got, some banking and it's a pretty fast racetrack. And there's a track in Pennsylvania, Port Royal, that maybe has similar type of length straightaways. But, Bristol's definitely in a league of its own with, kind of, having the length, the how big it is, plus the banking, and then the unknowns of what that red dirt that they put on, we don't know much about what that dirt's going to, be like for our cars. And I think it's just one of those things that, having that practice day will definitely, see how we can adapt to all the new challenges.
All right, we'll go to Casey Getz with WCYB. Go ahead, Casey.
What would you tell fans who maybe haven't been to a sprint car race before, what kind of show they'll get to see next weekend?
Yeah, sprint cars are, if you haven't ever been to a sprint car race, it's quite entertaining and very exciting. The World of Outlaws right now, Sprint Car Series, I feel like is in one of the best places it's ever been. The drivers are doing a great job. The format's great. Everybody's working really well together and putting on very exciting racing. So I think, they're loud. They definitely sling some dirt. They're fast. They'll be really, really fast, I think, at Bristol. And I think you'll see some pretty incredible side-by-side, great action for sure.
We have one question that got submitted from a journalist that wasn't able to join us today, but was curious how you got the nickname the Big Cat.
Not a great story behind it, but I had a roommate. He's an NHRA drag racer named JR Todd, and he gave it to me, just kind of messing around at the house, always just playing around, and that was kind of where it came from. And then once Johnny Gibson, announced it at the racetrack, then I think I got stuck with it for life now.
When you come into a race like this, where you don't have any past track time in terms of dirt in the sprint car, what's your strategy, or how do you approach a race like that, just from a game plan perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we're so, this is what we do for a living, and we do it night in and night out. So there's not too much that we haven't seen. Obviously, this is going to be a new challenge because we just don't know the speeds that we're going to see and what we're going to be up against with tires and parts and things like that. So, I think, we got the practice day, which is something that we don't normally get. Typically, you show up at a racetrack, even if it's the first time, you do hot laps, qualifying, and you run the race. So I think we're going to have a lot more time to process everything with that extra practice day. And, I think we're just making sure that we're bringing our best stuff, our strongest stuff, our newest stuff, just, to make sure that, hopefully we can avoid any part failures or things like that we, don't typically see on maybe some of the smaller, slower racetracks. So we're trying to do the best we can with our due diligence, and then obviously get to the racetrack and, execute the best that we possibly can. And that's really all you can do as a race team.
And the last question, unless the media has another question, if you do hit the blue, raise your hand button. But basically, we talked a little bit about Kyle Larson last year. Who among the regulars that you race against do you regard as kind of your toughest competition?
Well, always Donnie Schatz, for years. I know he's having a down year, but, you look at, he's had a couple DNFs and a lot of, troubles with they're trying to develop a Ford engine. And, if they ever get that figured out, I have no doubt in my mind that I'll be racing against Donnie more than anybody else, night in and night out. So I always regard him as, the toughest competitor that I face. But you do have a lot of new young guys that are definitely getting better and getting closer. So I think Logan Schuchart would be one of the favorites at Bristol for sure. He's been unreal on half miles the last few years, and I don't see why he wouldn't be really fast there again. I think you got to watch Sheldon Hoddenchild. He's been really consistent this year, getting much more consistent and better as a driver. So there's David Gravel, Carson Macedo. There's some great drivers and some great race cars out there. So that's what makes the Outlaws fun right now, is you really don't know who the favorite is each and every night. It can kind of change, and I think you saw that with the first 7 races. There were 7 different winners. So there's a lot of capable guys that some of them I didn't even mention, but I still think Donnie and probably Logan would be the 2 guys that I would watch for.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Brad, and we'll look forward to seeing you out here at Bristol in a couple of weeks.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.